Hello,
There we go.
hello, everybody. It is Casual Convo Friday, and we are back. Nate, good to see you after
Good to see
our
you.
hiatus last
Yeah.
month. Taking a nice break. And today we have our special guest, and she is also on vacation, Mona Lisa Ondevilla. She's joining us from Oahu out in Hawaii. She is a success coach with Mona Lisa Ondevilla LLC. And you're out in California, right, Mona Lisa? When you're not in Hawaii, when you're not vacationing in
Yeah.
Hawaii. Yes.
Yeah. California. I'm in Northern California, near the lake.
So trading one beach area for another. It's so good to have you. I see the palm trees swaying in the background. Very beautiful scenery. So thank you so much for joining us while you're on your vacation too. And today we are talking about how to show up online and market yourself even when you are an introvert. And I love that. I love that. I feel like this is a topic that's been coming up a lot, just even for me, especially with clients lately, because they're like, I'm introverted. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how to make myself feel comfortable
Yes.
to get out there and just show my presence. So we're going to be diving into this topic. For those of you watching, if you have questions, we are open to comments. You can always use the comment box, the chat box, and this is being streamed through YouTube, LinkedIn, and on Facebook. So without further ado, Nate, it's been a long time since I've had to say this. Nate, take it
Yeah.
away. What's our
All
first
right.
question?
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. So to talk about, bringing yourself online, marketing yourself as an introvert and things like that, what are some tips that you can share with us on how an introvert can actually get themselves out there right now? Because obviously that's going to be a
Yeah.
hard thing for them to do, kind of get out of their shell, out of that bubble that they live in. So what's some ways that they
Yeah.
can do that here in 2021?
I think that the number one thing is realizing that you don't have to do it in the way that an extrovert is doing it. Like what's
Mm-hmm.
insane is that like there's not just one business model. And I think that extroverts tend to be the one online and on video more and are doing more of those things that introverts might shy away from. So I think the number one thing is just to realize you don't have to use a model that is not made for you. Like, I remember when I first started coaching, people were like, you have to go to networking events and go to like a million networking events. And at the end of the day, I was super taxed. And I remember just passing out at the end of those days and being like, this is not sustainable for me. So I think that finding business models that feel good to you, I do a lot of work with funnels and ads and passive income. So setting things up that really honor you and your energy and feel like something that you can continue to do that doesn't tax you and tax your energy. So energy is a big thing that I talk about with clients, and we can get into a little bit more of that. But it's almost like picking the things where you can say, oh, I can do this. Maybe it's not starting with video. Maybe it's a podcast. Like I have a lot of clients who love podcasting because they love the audio format better than video. It's a little bit easier to tap into at first, for example.
I can agree with that. I know I'm not one. I don't like scripted stuff. I like live videos better. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I've had people try to give me scripts to memorize and read, and I sound like a robot.
Yeah, totally.
I definitely do better. Not even talking about just myself. Like I do better with people
Yeah.
talking back and forth with me. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Totally.
I can definitely see that. One of the words I manifesting, and I would love it if you talk to us about manifesting and how you can apply that in your life and business as well.
Yes. So manifesting is so funny because a lot of people think manifesting is when you're like, I want this, and you just think,
Mhm.
I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, and you just like firmly try to want it. And then what's interesting is that pushes it away because your energy is focused on the lack of what you are wanting, if that makes sense. It's very subtle, but I think a lot of people get into manifesting in that way. And manifesting in its simplest form is wanting something, saying, I want a successful business or I want my first client, and then calling it in. Like that's what it simply is, wanting something, calling it in. But the trick with manifesting is, like I said, not holding it too firmly, where instead you're in this energy of not having it, right? I know a lot of people, coaches, in the very beginning, entrepreneurs in the very beginning, are wanting their first client. And I remember I resonated with one of my first clients for the longest time and holding that really, really too tightly. And what happens is you push away. It's like this energy of not allowing the client to come because you're manifesting non-client energy. So instead, it's shifting into, what I really feel manifesting is shifting into this energy of having your first client. It's almost like, what would you feel like if you had your first client right now? If your first
Mm-hmm.
client came right now, if your first client emailed you, what would that feel like for someone to say, I'm signing up? So tuning into those energies more so than it's like not like, I don't want to say desperate energy, but it kind of is. And I can say that because I felt that way, right? I'm like, I need money and I need to pay, I need to pay rent. Like, you got to let go of all of that and
Yeah.
manifest in a way that feels better and good for you.
I was going to add to that too, Mona Lisa. So I love self-help books. I love self-help books. And
Yeah.
even in the book, Think and Grow Rich, I bring that up a lot, but it talks so much about manifestation.
Yeah.
And instead, looking at it as if I already have it in my possession. I already have that client. I'm already working with this person, this ideal client, instead of like,
Yes.
I'm desperate, come work with me. Please come work with me. And all of that energy and all of that, it just is like, I don't want to work with you if you're in desperate mode. Like, I want to work with someone that, so looking at it, it's the same thing with what you want to put in your bank account or where you see yourself in another year. Like, if you're envisioning, I'm on that stage, I'm speaking, you're going to take every action to get there because it's so ingrained in what you want to do. Yeah.
It's like, how the brain has like all of these nodes that light up. It's almost like you're lighting up certain areas because now you're holding this energy of, I have an amazing business and I have clients that I love working with and who love working with me. And so your subconscious is kind of picking up the things that would help support you in that journey as opposed to supporting my client. And I love that you mentioned Think and Grow Rich because that book was crucial to me starting and actually getting clients and manifesting an amazing business. Like, that book I read like every day. I still have it. It's like highlighted and tattered and underlined and amazing book.
I think that for me, actually, here's my book, and I do feel that. I mean, look at this, guys. Like, I don't know if you could see. Like, it's kind of hard to see, but every page is bookmarked because I'm like, every page has nuggets. Like, every page. So yeah, it's good. I actually have told my kids about it. I'm like, it's mandatory reading. You're getting this book and you're reading this because it's really going to train you to think mentally of, this is what I want for my life, and I'm going to move in that direction. Come hell or high water, it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, no, and I think part of it too is just like setting out that expectation so you don't take on stuff that you want to. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just looking for anything, right? If you don't have that idea of what an ideal client is to you. I know I was having this conversation with a colleague of mine. We were talking about clients that are worth your time and clients that aren't. It's not so much that they're bad clients. It's that's not what I'm saying, but it's sometimes they're not going to be a good fit for what you're trying to provide. There's a lot of times where we have clients doing IT work. They're not ready for the services we provide. That's just realistically. They're just starting out. They're not there yet, that kind of thing. And so there's no use in trying to go down that road, because you'll find yourself trying to make the deal work instead of trying to elevate them. You know what I mean? And it just ends up badly for everybody. So I think manifesting is a big portion of that. I just don't think a lot of people really look at it from that standpoint a lot of times. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. Like, not jumping on everything. I think in the beginning too, I felt very excited to jump on everything. So you don't really know what you don't want when you are just starting. I was like, every single client that I meet. And then there's this process of refinement and realizing what's not a fit and what is a fit. And then having I think it is hard if somebody is wanting to sign up with you and is giving you X amount and you would love that X amount, but they're not a fit. I've learned, and I know this is one of the questions, I learned that saying no in that moment can be hard, right? It can be hard, but if you say yes and you were supposed to say no, you're going to see what happens. Like, you're going to see it and then not make that mistake later on.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I remember when I first started, it was always, everybody's got the ebbs and flows of business. Everybody's got the up periods and the down periods. And I know during the down periods was always a time where it was like, well, we got to get money in the door, so we're just going to accept this whether it's a good fit or not. That was a young in business mistake, obviously, but that was always something that it took a while to get out of. And it was hard, like you said, it's hard. It's hard to turn away money. It's hard to turn away opportunities, especially when you can see the potential, right? Like that's the mother of all
Yeah.
problems is you see the potential there, but just because there's potential doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go that way. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, you can find yourself going down a rabbit hole that's really hard to get out of. What about you, Tisha?
Yeah, I look at it too. Like I've had to let clients go where at first I was like, this is great, this is awesome. But as soon as we started down that path, I was like, this isn't good. Like I don't want to be at someone's beck and call. Like I don't. And when clients are setting unrealistic expectations, you're just like, I can't do this. Like every way we look at this, it's a failure. We're not going to win at this. So I do think it's smart to really look at the clients that you're working with. And that's why I know, Mona Lisa, you probably say as a success coach, work with people that you have that same kind of energy. Like it's like a good match because there's so many clients that you work with that might not be, and it's okay to pass them on and say, I'm not really the right fit for you. It's why I think that like those discovery calls or that first impression, first interaction is so key to making sure that you guys even jive. So yeah, I've had to say lovey, it's not working. I'm going to let you go, and that's better for both of us. Best interest. Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to line up this question here, and I wanted to ask you.
Oh,
Well,
she's
time
coming
out a
back.
little
She ran to the beach.
Yeah,
She'll be right back.
vacation problems right there.
I
Body
know. I know. Mona Lisa said she's been in Hawaii since February, and I'm like, oh man, I'll trade you places. I'll go to Hawaii
uh
since February.
Absolutely.
There she
Hello.
is. All right, Nate, you had a
You hear us
question.
now?
Can you guys see me again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was so into what you were saying. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to listen to the whole replay on that. But yeah, that was good. I was nodding along with what I could hear.
That's all right. So I was asking these questions to kind of set up this one. One of the hardest things for anybody to do, but I imagine for introverts, it's particularly hard, is saying no. And so what I wanted to do is ask you, how do you coach introverts into being able to say no and being okay with saying that no to anything that they need to say no to? Because that's the hardest thing for most business owners to do.
It really, really is. And I think one, understanding that that is going to be a hard thing and that's okay. I think that so much of this is self compassion on the journey of maybe one time you'll say yes when you should have said no, and then you'll see the repercussions of that. And then you'll go, okay, maybe next time I'll see like how much that taxed my energy, how much, this thing that didn't fit with me really took a lot of my time and a lot of my energy that I could have spent with other projects or other clients or other things. So I think the first thing is self-compassion in knowing that you're not always going to say no, but then it's realizing the things that really you need to set boundaries about. So I've learned how to set boundaries, especially with clients, especially my business, by saying yes to a lot of things that didn't feel good. And then from there, creating a system around me where I was more protected so that I didn't have to say no. And I had a lot of like policies and a lot of things like, the reschedule, the cancellations. Like you just start to create a document and a business that is going to support you so that you don't have to always say no. And it's just, you enter a joint energy, a joint field of this is what you're entering into. It's a contract. And so there's not going to have to
Mm-hmm.
be as many of those conversations, if that makes sense. And so a lot of it is boundary setting. I mean, not just in business, but with friends, with family, with colleagues. I think that boundary setting can be one of the hardest things for introverts because especially, introverted, intuitive women who I work with, because we can sense when somebody doesn't like what we just said. Like and an empath, we can tell that if we say no, we can literally feel the reaction of your no. And then that sucks because now we can feel it and we can sense it. And we're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And we don't want to make people feel terrible or whatever. But I think there's a sense of dropping a boundary, saying no, and then letting it go. And it's something that I continue to work on, like saying no, saying what your boundary is, and then being okay with like knowing it's not your business with the other person, how the other person reacts to you. It's that letting go piece afterwards.
No, absolutely. I know for me, one of the things that I do, I had to turn down about 8 or 9 jobs over the past couple of weeks, simply because they were brand new startups, and that's just not a group of clientele we work with. But what I always do is I keep a Rolodex of people who do work with those companies. I say Rolodex, that's in my mental Rolodex. Uh, and I immediately say, hey, look, what, I'm going to put you in touch with this person, and I'll even call them back. I'll call the person who inquired about our services back and be like, hey, did such and such get a hold of you? Make sure that connection is made, stuff like that. I've had a lot of people talk about how that made them feel a lot better, that I wasn't just saying, well, you're not good enough for me. That's not what it's meant. It's avoiding a bad fit.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
I think that's so smart. And it puts you as one of those people, Nate, that like, I'm still looking out for you and I'm a resource for you. If you
Sure.
need that person, you're not just like, see ya, go figure it out yourself. You're saying, no, let me help you and get you on the right path.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And it's helping other people's businesses as well, because there's plenty of people like I use the example, the 5-page brochure website deal that every startup starts off with. Like, that's just not something we're going to do. But I know plenty of web designers that do that for you and will give you a great affordable price and things like that. So it's helping their business. It's building other relationships. And you never know, if that company takes off and grows, they may hit you up in a year or two. And so they'll always have that experience in the back of their head. You know what I mean? What about you, Tisha? What's some stuff you do?
I'm hearing dogs barking, so I muted myself. Like Mona Lisa's jumping off. I'm like, hi, there she went.
Everybody's having technical problems.
I know. Well, I don't have technical problems. I just have dog problems.
It happens.
I think they're being quiet though, hopefully. Yeah, no, I've always been that person. If I'm not the answer for you, I will figure it out for you, so I don't just leave you hanging. And I definitely feel that way, because I look at it this way, Nate. I had someone reach out to me, and she reached out to me like a year ago, but it wasn't the right timing for her. But by showing that empathy of whenever you're ready to go, I'll be here for you. And she called me this week and she's like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to start working together now. So you kind of have to give people just that breathing room of, know that I'm here for you. Whenever you get there, we can start whenever you're ready to go. So it's nurturing that relationship, but letting them know that it's not on my agenda. It's when you're ready, I'll be here for you. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of clients. I think that, like Mona Lisa, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, that we're like, I'm desperate to get the client. And you just kind of have that negative like vibe, that energy, that you're just like clingy. And I feel like when you give people that breathing room of, okay, when you're ready, I'm ready for you. And you just keep circling back and you keep that relationship flowing, those people inevitably come back to you anyway, because they're like, I like how that person made me feel. They didn't pressure me. They were kind. Yes. They were here when I needed them. They're a resource. Because I'm not like, if I'm going to give you a tip, I'm not going to be like, I'm charging you $100 for that tip. If I feel it'll benefit you in some way, I'm going to give it to you. And what's going to happen? You're going to remember that, and you're probably going to come back to me anyway. So you have to get into this whole thing of, it's not now. It's when they're ready, they'll come back to you. But you gotta keep that that good face with them. You can't just say, peace out, I can't work with you, you're a startup. But like you said, Nate, what if that startup becomes something bigger and the company that they're working with can no longer serve them? They may come right back to you because they remembered how you treated them. Exactly. And I just want to say real quick, we have some people joining us too on LinkedIn. So if you're still on with us, but hey, Luis Melendez, Mr. Groovy himself saying, hey, Tisha and Nate. We also have Jennifer Lowry. We have Anton joining us from the Ukraine. And we had another gentleman on, I have to go, Esteban, joining us as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. We have still about 10 minutes or so. If you guys have questions for Mona Lisa, we're going to keep rolling with some questions that we'll ask her too. But if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or chime in. But Nate, did you have some more questions for Mona Lisa?
I do. So Mona Lisa, when you're coaching with introverts and you're talking about how to how many times do you run into it where they have problems during the sales time, right? Like when they're talking to a client and they're having to come up with stuff, one, putting out what the prices of their services are, getting a warm lead to a point where they're actually selling them, things of that nature. How many times do you run into that, and also how do you help them get over that hurdle?
You're breaking out a little bit, but I think you're asking about the sales conversation and about how introverts can approach that conversation. Is that the Nate?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay, okay. So it's what I love about the system that I've set up is really making sure in the first place that you are speaking to people in your discovery sessions who vibe with you, who get you, who already know what you're about, and it's not like this shock of what you're going to sell them. It's not a shock of the price. They're there and they know, and you created a container because you created a community. You created your business in a way that by the time they get on the phone with you, they know what's up and you know what's up, and they almost already know you, right? So I love. Before I used to dread discovery sessions because it would be like a mixed bag and everything. But the way I've set it up now is when I get on the phone on discovery sessions, people are like, hey girl, hey Mona Lisa, because they know who I am. They've followed me for a bit. I've interacted with them on social media. We've gone back and forth. And so that's what I have my clients set up is really getting to the point where their clients, their discovery sessions already know them. And so it isn't like this awkward sale of the okay, now I'm gonna pounce the sale on you, right? It's not any of that. It's more of a conversation like we're having here
Mm-hmm.
where it's back and forth and it feels good. And it's really just people saying, you know, are you a real person? Because with the online thing, people just want to know, are you a real person? Or are you are you like really who you say you are online, or are you somebody else completely? So I think the conversation is more of a formality in that way, but they do want to work with you. So getting to the point, getting your systems down, building that relationship enough before they even get to the point where that discovery session happens so that it feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Now I know for me, I've been selling stuff for years now. I mean, I've got 15 years experience in it,
Yeah.
and honestly, like the best sales experiences that I ever have with people, and even when people are selling me, is when the salesperson just kind of stops talking and listens. You know what I mean? Like you can cut out half the problem that most people have with selling by just stop talking, get the conversation started, and just let people talk. And eventually, everybody has the same thing. They just want to vent about their day, they want to vent about their problems, and they will just start listing everything that's wrong, and then you can slowly pick through everything and be like, you know what, I don't know about this and that, but I can help here. And then all of a sudden, now you got that sales conversation. It's already moved into phase number two of your pipeline before you even realize it. That's just me, but that's just kind of how I do it. I don't do the high pressure sales where I'm calling you every day and following up and sending all these messages and stuff. That's not my style whatsoever. I don't know about you two,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
Yeah, I'll chime in on that too. So I had a discovery call with a woman that was referred to me, and it just made my day when she's like, Tisha, I think you and I could be really good friends. And we were just having a conversation. It wasn't high pressure. It wasn't, what do you need? Here's my pricing. I'm, opening up a PowerPoint, flipping through slides. Like I wasn't doing that. We were having a conversation based on where she's struggling. And just like you said, Nate, when you turn it around and you say, I'm here to listen, so why don't I let you have the floor and tell me what's going on with you? And that's what a friend would do. That's what a friend would just open it up
Right.
with. Like, I'm here to listen. And when she said that to me, I was like, I'm pretty sure we already are friends. And she just was like, that's so fun. Like, I love it. And I was like, that's what you're trying to create with people. And I want you to throw this comment up on the board, Nate, from Carl. He talks about love that, lay the groundwork through patience, empathy, and just the overall humanity treatment. So when we stop looking at people as the transaction or as the next sale, and we start looking at people as people, that's when really things start to open up. And I think that it's not just introverts, Mona Lisa, it's everybody should be taking that same approach of, you're a human, I'm a human, we're here doing this together. What's the next step?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think you were saying
Absolutely.
earlier, just allowing people like to just come to their own, like not pressuring them, not being like, okay, this needs to happen in this way and controlling it. I think you were talking earlier about allowing them the space, and then they come to you anyways, right? And just
Mhm.
allowing it to be real and natural and flowing, and seeing them as a human being. That's the kind of tying back to what you were saying earlier.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They'll get you there. They'll get the conversation there. Trust me. If it's a big enough problem, it'll come up. Like it happens every time.
Yes.
Like I, you know,
Yeah.
it's the easy way to do sales. So before we close out, we're running out of time on Lisa, but we always give our guests a chance to do a little selfless plugging and talk about themselves,
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
they got going on. So I'd love to hear about any special offers or how people can work with you, things of that nature. So take it away.
Cool. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you guys for having me and bearing with me through all of these crazy connections here in Hawaii. I've had an amazing time, and I'm looking forward to going back and listening to everything. So thank you guys for being here and being such amazing hosts. The challenge that I have is a 5-day build your heart-centered branding challenge, and it's 5 days of setting up your brand. It's at bit.ly/lightworkerbrand down below. Check it out and see if you vibe, and see if it's something that resonates with you. This is something that is for somebody just starting out. If you have no idea what your brand is, you don't know your colors, you don't know what you talk about on social media, this is going to be really amazing and supportive for you. So thank you for letting me share that, you guys.
That's
No problem.
awesome. Yeah, very good. And when does that challenge start? Or is it a specific date, Mona Lisa, or is it just something
No,
that
it's an ongoing self-study. Yeah, you can do it, sign up, and you can start right now and start tonight.
oh, perfect. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I'll have to send
Awesome.
some people that way.
I know. And thank you, Anton, Carl, for being on as well on LinkedIn with us. And if you missed this conversation and you're catching the replay, we all go back in and check that. So make sure that you're putting a comment in the chat, giving us a like, and we'll be replying to that if you have any further questions for Mona Lisa. So Mona Lisa, I do have a question for you. So we're talking about introverts, and you were saying that they don't need to take the same approaches that extroverts take if they're really not good on camera, or if they just want to start kind of in a subtle way. What do you recommend for someone who's introverted? Because as I said, I'm finding that a lot of the clients I'm working with are like, I don't want to get photographs done. I don't want to get on video.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to. And like the
Yes.
tantrums,
Totally.
the
Totally.
tantrum starts.
Yeah.
And
So okay,
yeah,
well,
I'd love to
I
hear
get
that.
that. And when I say an easy starting point, oh my gosh, I mean, that was me. And it's a lot of my clients, and they're like, no video ever. I could never imagine that. I think an easy starting point is doing captions on Instagram. I'm not even lying. It's super easy. Throw up a quote. It doesn't have a picture of you that you resonate with, or a photo, something that you pass by in your day, and you're like, you saw a palm tree, and you're like, oh, this made me feel a certain way. Write something up, like write it, right? And write something from your heart. And then that's your first piece of content. Like just get comfortable with your own voice, your tone, how you write. Keep on doing that, and you'll eventually build confidence because you're just putting out content, and you'll find your voice eventually. And then maybe you can tiptoe into podcasting, and then maybe tiptoeing into video, maybe, or you can, I always tell my introvert clients, maybe you never do video, but start with a caption, start with writing, start with your strengths that feel really good. You might be interested to hear, a lot of introverts do love audio and resonate with audio. So that's podcasting is a more friendly way, and it's more personable than writing can be, but writing can be personable too. But those are the beginning tips, I would say, Tisha.
So one of the posts that I saw on LinkedIn, and it's resonating with me because it was a really great content piece that said, or when you're posting content and creating, find things that are of interest to you, not to what you find interesting for other people. Because if you're constantly like, oh, Nate's gonna hate it, I'm not gonna post it because Nate's gonna hate this, then I'm never gonna post it.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, damn, Nate, I like this, I'm gonna post it, and Nate's like, I love it, I'd be like, see? And I think that's where people find that that's where you start to create the connection, because what you're posting is heart-centered. It's true to what you want to put out there, and those people are seeing it. They're getting a glimpse of who you are and what interests you and what you like. And so, yeah, so I love that quote. Like it just resonated so much with me and several other people, that post for what you like, not what everybody else likes or what you think they're going to like.
Yeah, and that goes with doing what you do, helping people create a unique brand to them. That's exactly what it is. Like it's unique to them, their personality, and it's if you're like, for example, I post a bunch of, I'm a big Disney fan. And so I post a lot of, I'm going to Disneyland, Disney World. I post a lot of that. And it's like totally not relevant to most of the people who follow me, but it's a quirk. It's a brand quirk and something that I talk about because it's something that I love and a part of my life. And then you don't believe the amount of people who are like, I love Disneyland. And it's crazy. Or maybe they don't, but they still are like, oh, that's cute. Like, it makes you have more of a personality online to be who you are.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. Well, thank you so much, Mona Lisa, for being on with us and taking time away from your Hawaii vacation. I know you're just like, I need to get to the beach, like stat. I know. I just love the backdrop. But it's good to be back. I know this is our first one of season 2. Great to have Mona Lisa. Nate, thanks so much. Awesome to see you, buddy. And yeah, we'll be back next Friday and we'll just keep this going. And if you have questions, make sure you drop those in the chat. And again, check out Mona Lisa's free giveaway at bit.ly/lightworkerbrand.com. Is that how you say that right? Lightworkerbrand. I'm looking for the scrolling.
No.com, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no.com. bit.ly/lightworkerbrand. There it is, right in front of me.
Tisha.
Oh, hey.
Took too long to break.
I had to unplug for a while. I'm just getting back into this, Nate.
Thank you guys.
All right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Yep.
Oh, and happy Easter. Happy Easter weekend, everyone.
Yep. Same to y'all. Y'all have a great one.
Bye.